Hi, this is Tracy again at Ornamentia in Raleigh. Today I'm going to teach you a little bit about forging. We're going to learn how to create this stamped disc bracelet. We're going to learn how to do letters on each little disc with the steel stamping tool, then how to dap it to make the domed effect and get a nice 3D thing going on.
Here's a quick close-up of our project. Let's get started by talking about tools. We're going to be using a dapping block or a doming block to create the curve on our discs. We're going to be using a rawhide mallet. This one's weighted to do all of our striking. We're going to be doing our stamping on a steel bench block and a rubber bench block. The rubber is going to give you some noise protection, and the steel will give you a nice hard work surface for our stamping. We'll stamp our letters with a set of steel letter punches. These are 1/8 inch. We will be creating the holes in our discs with a steel hand punching tool. It's got a little steel tip in here that's angled. This is 1.8 millimeters. And then the actual pieces for the bracelet, we'll be using 7mm jump rings to connect the discs. And we'll be using 3/4 inch nickel silver discs to do our stamping on, and then a little clasp to finish it. And finally, just 2 pairs of bent nose pliers for all of our construction. Alright, the first step for our project is to get the words stamped onto our disc. So I'm going to start with a nickel silver disc, and I've pulled out 5 steel letters. We're going to spell the word adorn on this one. I do recommend when you're doing words like this to start with the center letter and work your way out. When you work out like that, then you will know how much space you're going to have on either side. If you start from one side and work across, you're going to end up maybe running out of space. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the center letter, the O. And another tip is we've written the letters in Sharpie on the side of the stamp that you want to be looking at when it's lined up correctly. This will keep you from accidentally stamping it sideways or upside down. So let's go ahead and get this guy lined up in the center of the disc. You want to try to hold it with a steady hand, sort of near the base of the stamp. And we want to try to give it one good smack to get the letter imprinted. Okay, that gave me a nice imprint there. If you're having trouble getting it in one whack, do not pick your stamp back up and hit it again. It's never going to line up the same. It's better to leave it down and hit it a couple of times if you think it didn't get it the first time before you lift it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish stamping this bracelet. The next step after you've got all your discs stamped, this one says adorn, is to put the holes in either end. We will be attaching them together to create the bracelet with the jump rings. So you want to do this while it's still flat, and we'll be using the punch tool. So just line it up near the edge of the word, and you want to make sure that there's plenty of room between the edge of the disc, and just squeeze. And you're going to have to work it back off the little steel tip, but it just pops a little disc of metal out and creates a nice clean hole. So let's go ahead and do the other side. Just work it off, and you've put holes in one of your links, so just repeat with all of them. Okay, and of course the last step for shaping our discs is doing the doming. So I've got my adorn disc here again, and we want the word to be on the top part of the dome for the project. So that means we want to make sure that it's face down when we put it in the block. It's always good to start with the biggest hole because you can always curve up more and more if you want more curvature. So I'm going to start with the big one. There are corresponding steel balls for each hole, so I'm going to start with the largest one as well in the rods and just line it up on top of my disc. Give it a few good smacks and reposition it if you need to, and then do it again. Let's check on this, see how it's looking. I've got a nice curve in there, but I'd like it to curve up a little more, so I'm going to go to the next one and the next rod. Okay, that's nice and rounded, got a good curve, so this disc is ready to go. So we're going to repeat with all the rest of them. Now that all of our discs are domed and ready to go, I've got them lined up with various words on them, and we're going to use the 7mm jump rings to connect them. I've got my bent nose pliers. Bent nose work well because they're flat, but they're angled. So you're going to go ahead and grasp one side with the first pair, and I'm going to take the second pair and hold on the opposite side of the slit. You always want to twist open your jump rings like this. You never want to pull out, that will stress them and they will break. It's also good to handle your jump rings with your pliers instead of your fingers because they're a lot finer than your fingers. So I'm going to continue holding it and then put it through the disc. And when you put the next disc on, make sure that when they open up, they're going to be facing the way you want them to. And once you've got them lined up, you can just close it back. I find if you pull back past the ring a little bit first and then line it back up, it's a little bit truer than if you just try to pull it in one direction. So that'll connect the first two together for you. We're going to repeat this with all the discs, so I'm going to go ahead and put this next one on, but you're going to go ahead and line up as many as you need to do a full bracelet. And now they're magically all linked together. I ended up using 7 discs to get a good size for a bracelet, and I left the ones on the end just blank. I didn't put words on them, but you could definitely put words on them if you wanted to. So now I've got a little spring clasp. This is what I'm going to use on one end, and all you need is a jump ring. So you're going to grab a jump ring just like we did with all the discs and open it. And like I said before, use the pliers to manipulate the rings. I'm going to hook both elements on there and twist it back closed. And on the other end, I'm going to make it adjustable a little bit. So what we're going to do is I've created a little section of chain with about 4 jump rings. I've gone ahead and linked them all together. So I'm going to just take the last one and open it up. And just put it on the other end. And this is going to give you a little adjustable section, which is always nice for bracelets. So now you've got a full bracelet. Okay, we're going to talk about one more little thing you can do to amp up your bracelet now that it's constructed. We're going to darken the letters so that they pop a little more. And I've got myself just a little inexpensive watercolor brush and a jar with a little bit of ammonia in it. So what we're going to do is use the ammonia to blacken the letters. So you just dip a little onto your brush and paint it right into the crevices of the letters. And you'll notice as you do this that it's immediately going to start to get darker. So let it sit for a little bit. And then I'm just going to wipe it off with a paper towel. You can also wash it. It's a chemical reaction, so it won't undo it. You can also buff the top just a little bit if it's still black where their dome is. I recommend the Euro Tool polishing pads. I'm just going to take the little polishing pad and just rub it across the domed part. This is going to get any of the black off of the actual disc and just leave it in the crevices of the letters. So that's going to give you a nice finish to a really cool forged bracelet.